Hey friends, this is Ryan with the Two Wheel Underground in Bend, Oregon. It's been an incredible day here in Bend. Totally sunny out, mountain views in just about every direction that you looked. We still have about a foot of snow on the ground from the storm last week, and temperatures have risen enough that you can get outside without having to get too bundled up. In fact, earlier today I took my dog up for a quick skate ski up at Winoga and got to check out some of the trails that they're working on for the Fat Bike Trail Network that should be opening up here soon. So we're looking forward to that. And right now I'm standing in the HUB Cyclery in downtown Bend, and we're going to sit down and talk to a good friend of mine. His name's Mike Fusaro. He is an avid mountain biker and cycling enthusiast, really passionate about the sport, and he also happens to be the sales manager for Knight Composites. So Knight Composites is a wheel manufacturer located in Bend, Oregon, that's opened up a couple of years ago. And we're going to sit down and talk to Mike a little bit about what it's like working at Knight and what products they have coming up here, and hopefully learn a little bit more about the cycling culture here in Bend and about the industry in general. So let's go ahead and sit down and talk to Mike. Thank you for joining us today. I know you have a busy schedule, and it's great to have you down here to share a little bit about what you do. Why don't you start off by just sharing us a little bit what your role is at Knight, how long you've been there, and what you've been working on. So.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan. You know, I've been with Knight now for 2 years. Actually, how I got my job is I saw the owner here at the HUB Cycle randomly enough. I didn't know that she owned the company at the time, and I saw a set of wheels there and kind of made a snide remark, and she took kind of offense to it and said, hey, well, why don't you try them? And I said, well, I'm not really in the market for a set of road wheels at this point. And she said, well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and try these wheels? So I ended up doing one of the Saturday group rides here in Bend, and was so amazed by the stability that they had over my wheels, even of a more depth than what I was used to riding, that I was so sold that I went back to her when I had to return the wheels and said, A, I need these wheels, and B, are you hiring? And at the time she said, no, we're not hiring. I said, well, what if I work for free until there's a position open?
Holy smokes.
I actually worked for the company for pretty close to 6 months just because I believed in the product so much. I've tried everything on the market. I actually liked what was on the market before, but when you try a product that just blows you away, sometimes it really changes the way that you think of everything, as far as products in the market. So that's kind of my short story.
Yeah, I remember when, it was back when I was working for Garmin, there was actually a rider in town that showed up at my doorstep. He was testing out some Vector pedals, and he happened to have a set of prototype wheels on his bike that were from Knight. And to be honest, I was a little shocked because I knew that there were several larger players out there that had been dumping a lot of money in research and development into carbon wheel design, and it was a pretty competitive market. So, seeing that, I was a little surprised to hear that there was going to be a new carbon wheel manufacturer and that they were going to be located in Bend. And I guess one of the things I was curious about was, what really was that secret sauce? What was it that allowed this company to start here and to have the success that they've had so quickly in such a competitive industry?
That's a good question, Ryan. We have 3 primary owners, and they've all been in the industry for a really long time. Okay. One of them, Jim File, he actually started Reynolds back in the day and was one of the first to come out with a carbon fork that people really trusted, and that was the Uzo Pro. He went on to other things. He also worked for Envy for a good stint. And then Beverly Lucas, who worked for Felt, and she worked for Envy. She's owned her own bike shops. And then actually what a lot of the secret sauce is in our road product, and this is our actually 65 millimeter depth right here, but a lot of what made our road successful is our aerodynamicist, Kevin Kwan.
Okay.
So Kevin Kwan did all the early Cervelos, like the Soloists and the P3Cs, which are, however old, 10 or 12 years old, and they're still iconic road bikes and time trial bikes and triathlon bikes that you'll still see them in races, which says a lot about that bike if people are still using a bike that's 10 years old in races on a competitive, scale.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So with all of his expertise in computated fluid dynamics, which is a computer program that allows him to create wheels and test them virtually, he knew that he could come up with something that's faster than all the standard toroidal shapes that you see today, which is what all of our competitors are using.
Oh, okay. So pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, there's a rumor out there that I heard about the name, and I just wanted you to clarify for us. So, Knight wheels. So I'd heard that one of the owners had an infatuation with David Hasselhoff, and that they wanted to include something that he had worked on in the name of the product. And so, you know, they kind of looked at Michael Knight from Knight Rider as sort of their iconic person to represent their wheel. Is that true?
Actually, the only reason I got my job is because my name is Michael, and no, actually that's not true. Beverly, her maiden name is actually Knight, so it's her father's surname, and that's kind of what started the company.
Okay. Okay. So when you think of Knight as a company, do you feel that for them to be located here in Bend, that there's an advantage to being in a town like Bend?
You know, absolutely. We, as you know, Ryan, you live here. We have some of the best terrain, whether it's road, mountain, cyclocross, anything that you're looking for, you know, that's bikes related. And the best thing about it is it's all so accessible. I mean, I don't want to sell anybody on Bend. You believe me, we closed the gate when Ryan and I moved here. But, you know, at any point, I mean, there's, you know, 400 or 500 miles of mountain bike trails that are within, you know, Bend proximity, which is pretty cool. So, you know, both of the owners, you know, they love the outdoors. They're into snowboarding, skiing, cross-country skiing. I mean, the list goes on and on, mountain biking, road biking. So, you know, I think that they were trying to, you know, form a lifestyle company around living in an area. And, you know, no better place to do it, you know, than in Bend.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about products here, and maybe quickly get us up to speed as to what's out there, what people can see once the ground thaws out, and we start jumping on our bikes again.
Well, boy, I sure hope I don't forget anything, but I'll start with our road line. At this point, we have 3 depths in road. We have the 35s, which I brought here, which are 35 millimeters of depth. And on top of 35 millimeters of depth, it's actually still a very fast arrow shape. So I don't know about, you know, the folks at home that are, you know, as dorky as I am, but this shape at about, you know, 32 miles an hour will save you about 200 grams of drag over a standard box aluminum rim.
Now, is that the speed you normally ride your bike at? I mean, I've seen you ride before.
It's tough because when we're talking about that speed, we're talking about relative velocity. So what that means is if you have a 10 mile an hour headwind and you're going 20 miles an hour, which still might be a little bit tough, you know, relative velocity is 32 miles an hour. So yeah.
And what kind of wheel, like when you talked about how many millimeters the wheel is, who is this really designed for? Like,
That's a good
what
question.
type of rider would be riding this wheel?
So this is kind of your all-around wheel. It's great for training. It's great for racing. It's great for climbing. It still does give, like I said, you know, a huge aero advantage with a comparable weight over all of our manufacturers. You know, it's nice and wide. We're about 25.5 millimeters here at the brake track. We have the safest brake tracks on the entire planet as far as a carbon rim goes, due to having twice the material of carbon fiber and a nanofiber layer on the outside, which really helps with even brake temperature, heat dissipation, and modulation and feel as well.
Nice.
So that's the 35. Then moving on to the 65. I try not to be biased, but this is by far my favorite rim. This is the rim that got me my job over our competitor's wheel that I was using that was actually 58 millimeters of depth. And I had a hard time controlling that wheel in the open winds of the desert.
Gotcha.
And so I figured trying this wheel, like I was talking about before, that's a few millimeters more depth than what I was used to, that it was going to be even more erratic and unpredictable. But I found just the opposite to be true. Okay. That it's as stable as anything of half of its depth.
Okay, so normally the more depth, the less stable the wheel, right? I mean, not always, but
I think with our competitors in general, you know, with more depth, you know, you have more surface area for wind to hit. So you will get bumped around. But what I'm talking about that's really scary is those erratic, you know, handlebar jerks that just come out of nowhere and then make you pucker up and kind of like, you know, grab your handlebars a lot tighter. So that's the biggest thing that you'll notice over our competitors is how much more stable they are in that way.
And then you guys make a variety of mountain wheels as well. Do you guys do any cyclocross products at the moment?
You know, we have some stuff in cyclocross that works really well, and it's a good crossover to multiple disciplines. So our disc tubular is phenomenal for cyclocross, and it's super wide at 25.5 millimeters. One thing that folks really like about our tubular is that it has external nipples. So some of our competitors don't have external nipples, and when you spend all the time in the world gluing a tire on and you have to rip that tire off to true your wheel because something happened, life happens.
Yeah, well, especially something like cyclocross,
Yes.
even more so, right? 'Cause
Absolutely.
You're getting banged around
We've raced together. So
yeah, a little bit.
yeah, we
So,
both know, especially with all the rocks here in Bend.
Oh, yeah, for
Way
sure.
to bump your wheels out of true.
So one thing I wanted to quickly chat about was your job a little bit, just to kind of, I don't know, just something a little bit interesting to talk about. So as a sales manager, I know when I was in sales in this industry, you're traveling a lot, and it can be a little overbearing at times, but you actually get to go to some really cool places. So at Knight, what are some of the cool places that you've gotten to go check out traveling? Have you hit anywhere so far where it's been like, wow, this is kind of a super cool event or a super cool place?
Yeah, I'm probably going to say this wrong, but Friedrichshafen, Germany for Eurobike.
Oh, nice.
Was amazing. Okay. The people were cool, the beer was phenomenal, and just to kind of see all the energy around that place was amazing. I mean, it was probably one of the greatest places I've traveled since I've had my job. Sea Otter's always fun. I've raced that a few times. Please don't look up my results because they're terrible. That was many years ago. I got to go to Kona this year because we had some athletes at the World Championships.
That's always fun.
Yeah, they did extremely well.
Yeah, you guys had some great results.
Not to throw a plug, but Heather Jackson ended up, getting third in the pro female division, which is the first American on the podium, I believe, in 10 years. So
wow. Rock on. Nice work.
Jesse, Ben, and Matt Russell, Jesse Thomas, Ben Hoffman, and Matt Russell did really well. And then we had a lot of other, athletes that were, what do you say?
Just elite caliber out
elite
there,
caliber,
right?
athletes.
All sorts of caliber athletes out
so
there.
So age group athletes. That's exactly.
Okay. There we go. Cool.
Yeah, kind of cool. And so a lot of them, they were on our 65 in the front, and then we actually have a 95 millimeter depth, which is, really the fastest wheel in the world right now. As fast as a disc in a lot of situations, and faster in other situations. Nice. So we have that 95, and that's what all of our athletes were on. So.
So, a couple other topics I wanted to cover since we're sitting here inside the hub in Bend. So, right now there's snow on the ground. It's pretty nasty out there for a lot of folks that are riding these types of products, maybe mountain bikers and road cyclists. I know that you've had the pleasure of riding all over the country. If you had to pick a spot right now, or maybe it's in February when we're all kind of getting ready for winter to end, we want to get out and ride. Let's say we're mountain biking. Where would you go right now?
Oh, geez, that's a great question, Ryan. It would definitely have to be in my balmy garage on a trainer.
Oh, no, I mean anywhere in the country.
Oh, no, I know.
Travel.
I understand the question.
No way.
No, I'm just joking. Boy, that's tough. I think early season, we always want to go someplace hot, to kind of get us out of what we're used to. So it would definitely be, somewhere south, probably somewhere around, San Diego or wherever. Cool. That's probably where. I mean, I'm a big adventurer. I love to bike tour, so anywhere where there's not snow on the ground, or even if there is, maybe put some studded tires and some packs on your bag and
head out on the road.
So
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. What about in Bend? So same thing. It's Tuesday. You've got a 3 o'clock meeting. It's noon. You got to go for a quick ride.
Yep. Is there snow on the ground? Right?
There's no snow on the ground. This one. You get to go. Where do you go?
How long do I have?
You've got 3 hours from the time you leave the office to when you have that meeting.
I'm a big Phil's buff. Like, I love going to Phil's. I love the terrain. A lot of guys don't like Lower Phil's because they don't think it's technical enough, but it's such a good place to get out of your head and just cruise and carve like the brown powder. And that's in a sense.
That's interesting. Because I know that you spent some time in Seattle. And
I lived there for years.
When I think of riding up in Seattle, I think of like technical rocks and all that kind of stuff. Roots, right? So I think maybe you'd be going for something a little different. But no, I hear you there on the Florida Phil section for sure.
So I mean, we have so much mountain riding here that I do love road riding, but if I have an opportunity or a chance to get on my mountain bike, I will always take it.
Nice.
And we all do the same loops on our road bikes day in and day out. We know the loops here, right? We've probably done it 70 times, 80 times a year.
Yeah.
And so, with that said, I really don't get bored, riding my mountain bike, even in Lower Phil's. It's so accessible. You feel comfortable riding by yourself because there's a lot of people around. So if something were to happen, it's nice and safe. Yep.
So you have your meeting, and you're back from your ride. You have your meeting. What's your food cart that you go to if you're in town?
Oh, wow. I'm a big fan of the lot. Because
Okay.
the lot actually has several food trucks.
There you go. All right. Okay.
I'll definitely sneak in a beer,
Okay.
after lunch.
What beer? What's your beer?
I have 2 beers in Bend, and arguably one of these beers is the reason, let's say 30% of the reason why I moved here, and that would be Black Butte Porter. I love Black Butte Porter.
Awesome.
It's one of my favorite beers. So I drink porters, absolutely love them. I'm not a big IPA fan, don't criticize me. But the Boneyard RPM is my go-to beer.
Okay.
I think it's such a well-balanced, it's kind of a lighter IBU.
Yeah.
It's an excellent beer. And I love, ready for this? Busch Regular. That's the Gatorade of beers.
I would have thought Rainier, once
Yeah.
again, the Seattle influence. But
Yeah,
there you
I
go.
love Busch.
Awesome.
Try to turn everybody I can on to Busch.
Sweet. There you go. So, if folks in town haven't heard of Knight, they want to check it out, they want to
Sure.
get a little more information, where should they go?
The folks here at the Hub, they know a lot of information about our products since, what's the word? I hang out here a lot, loiter.
Oh, really? Okay.
Several other words. Bug them until they ask me to leave. So, yeah, both the owners here and the employees know a ton about our products. So,
Cool. Nice.
and they know how to get a hold of me if the questions become, out of their pay grade.
So, last question for you. I heard you're a real big fitness buff.
Used to.
Used to be. Okay. Well,
Thanks.
Back in the BMX days when I used to ride a lot, there used to be this term thrown around that was called the ride muscle, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we would always
Do
we would always, all the BMX kids, it was like you knew if you had been riding a lot, if you were in shape, because you had this ride muscle that you
Yeah.
could flex. Well, I heard that you've got like the world's largest.
Where did you hear
ride
that? Yeah, I do.
So let's see it. Come on.
Okay, I got it on both arms, folks, so don't get any ideas. But there's one.
Oh my gosh.
We'll get in there. We'll get in there. There's one on my right arm, and then there's my left.
Oh, well, that right one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
see?
there's the ride muscle.
There you are. So yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure. And for the BMX side, it was always the right side because that was the only side I had to brake on, right?
Yeah.
So like it would always be like, oh yeah, look at that. But no, I'm not even going to take my shirt off because I have nothing to compare. But anyway, just wanted to thank you for taking the time to share a little bit about what you do here and your experiences at Knight Wheels, and hope that folks in our community can learn a little bit more about the different aspects of what's going on here. And it's a pleasure talking to you as always. So thanks.
You too.
All
Thanks,
right.
Ryan.
Take care.